honeysuckle soup on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region Today. We're so happy that you're joining us today. We have a great lineup. Lots of good things coming up in our area, and one of them is we're going to be hearing about the Diary of Anne Frank that is being done by the Bunbury Players. We'll also be hearing from an author who's written a really intriguing, interesting book because it's broken down into 365 little dates. So we're going to be hearing about that, which will be fun. The Schenectady Civic Players also will be here, and they're doing this Random World, which is really kind of an interesting play as well. Then we're going to be talking about an event coming up that will be here at Proctors and also at the Universal Preservation Hall. It's a Jazzy Christmas, and I think it's called the Peanuts Band, but we'll find out more about that. We've got two great guests coming up. We're going to be hearing a little music from Doc Horton. He's with the Doc Horton J Street Band. He's going to do a little bit and tell us about what they're doing and about the benefits that are coming up. And then the Schenectady Light Opera will also be here talking about the Glorious Ones, which is a Renaissance kind of a musical. So we'll hear all about that. So I want to thank you all for being here today and joining me. And we're going to start right out with our first guest. We have Garrett West here, and Garrett is the artistic and producer of the play Diary of Anne Frank. Unfortunately, one of his guests could not join us, but we're going to start out. Garrett, thank you for coming and telling us about what an appropriate play this is for this time of year, because, I mean, we have been looking at the anniversaries of different Auschwitz and things like that. So tell us a little bit about Diary of Anne Frank as a play. We've read the book, I'm sure.
Sure.
But, yeah.
The stage adaptation was written in the 1940s and was revised again in the 1990s. What we're doing is the revised version that takes more from Anna's diary was actually omitted in earlier copies.
Oh, really?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're trying to make it as historically accurate as possible. I've had my actors quite thoroughly research the actual people and really try to delve
understand.
Absolutely, yes.
To get in their skin, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You can't even imagine what they were going through at that time, being hidden and not being. How many years were they in there?
They were in there for, let's see, it was about two and a half, yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I know, yeah.
I mean, we've been griping with the pandemic that we don't want to be in our homes. I mean, imagine being cooped up in a little. How many were there? There were 5, 6 people.
So there were 8.
8, okay.
It started off with 7, and then another one joined later. So there ended up being 8 altogether. And what we've done right from the beginning of rehearsal is try to make everyone very tight-knit, try to explain to them, you know, it's going to be, the theater we are in, I actually chose, it's the Art Center.
The Art Center, that's in Troy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a small black box, and I wanted that intimacy.
That feel.
Yep, absolutely. So I've tried from the beginning to make them feel very close-knit, very tight together, and they've done a remarkable job with it. It's really helped that the majority of our cast is Jewish, and that they do, in fact, many of them have relatives who did sadly perish in the Holocaust, so they do have that personal experience.
I just attended a film at the Linda, which was called Return to Auschwitz, and it was a gentleman that was a little boy at the time that was in Auschwitz that escaped, and it was a very touching documentary on that. So in a way, the Diary of Anne Frank is a documentary in the sense that she left a diary.
Absolutely, yes. Of course.
The dialogue you don't know.
Yes.
We have to surmise that.
Correct.
From what she wrote, right?
Right. We also thought about it while we were in rehearsal, how much of it is actually her thoughts as a teenager and how much of it is, because, you know, we all have perceptions as we're writing. So we thought, okay, she may think of this one character as really being this nasty person, but why was it? Why were they feeling this way? And I also think the authors did a great job in really fleshing out every single character.
Yeah,
throughout.
yeah. So now the revision, you said it was written in the
In the 90s.
Wait, you said the first one was.
The original, was, I believe, 1947.
Yeah, because,
that won the
it
Pulitzer.
had to be after she died. I mean, where did they discover her diary, or do you know that?
Well, they did discover it. What happened was Miep Gies and Victor Kugler and the others, they found the diary as they were cleaning it out. They knew she was writing a diary throughout the whole
So they
time.
perhaps were.
But they kept it for her father. Her father survived. The others did not.
Oh, really? I did
Yes.
not know that.
Her father survived, and they kept it. And when he was ready, they presented him with the diary. And of course,
Because he lost his family. I mean,
right. And from the beginning, Anna always wanted her diary to be published. She wanted to be an author. There was actually a bulletin on the radio news that they were looking for diaries to later publish after the war was over. So that was her intention to publish it all along. So it was with her wishes that they did publish
Yeah.
her diary.
Well, we want to encourage people, of course, to see the play. Where can
Absolutely.
they see it, and when can they see
It's
it?
going to be at the Art Center of the Capital Region. It's 265 River Street in Troy, New York.
Okay.
And it's 2 performances only. It's this coming Saturday and this coming Sunday. Saturdays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at
And
2
matinee.
p.m. Yep.
Yeah. I always ask this when it comes to plays, age appropriate.
Teenagers,
It's got to be pretty
Preteens.
intense for.
it is, especially with the material that they've reinstated in the
Okay.
diary.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
the diary.
So first I want to applaud you for selecting this play, because I think it's important that we keep this to the front, that we don't just start, ignoring what occurred and, or dissing it, saying what
Correct,
really didn't
yeah.
happen. I did hear from an author who's written a book that she was kind of attacking the deniers who said,
yeah.
oh, they had plenty of food and there was no problem in the camps except, and the person wrote, except that the Allies stopped the shipment of food, so that's what happened. So, I mean, you got
Right.
that whole silliness out
Absolutely.
there. So, but it was a very interesting interview that I
Yeah.
heard. So please, I do want to applaud you for taking this
Well, we appreciate it.
on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I hope that you have a full house anyway.
Yes, yes.
Good. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Garrett. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about, a book, and it's called, I know this looks bad, but I'm not sure what looks bad, but we've got JPV Oliver, Gent here. And here he is with
Hi,
his
Ann.
top hat and his morning suit.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
What got you to write this book? Because it's really cool, because it's got I don't know, I'm going to flip it a little bit, but they're just, each one is a little piece that you can read and sit down and read, sit down.
I did it that way because I don't have an attention span. And
Okay,
And I
well,
figure readers got better
And
things
neither
to
do we,
do.
so
Yeah,
that's why we enjoy the book.
Readers got better things to do.
Yes.
And the other thing I discovered is that during the plague, I discovered to my horror there is actually a limited amount of Scotch whiskey I can drink, so I wrote a book instead.
Oh, well, okay, yeah,
you have
because
to
you
do
run
something.
out, especially during the pandemic,
this
you
is it.
can't
Yeah,
get
it's
it
quite-
delivered quite as quickly. So you took a number of these, and I call them little vignettes, but little pieces that you took from your own experiences, and perhaps some of them are hilarious.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I laugh out loud
Oh,
when
that's
I read
lovely.
them. So, and some are very touching. I know the one about your dad at 20 when he was in the, he got a job at a jewelry store right here in Albany
Yep.
to do repairs on watches, and he didn't even
Yeah.
have
Probably
a
never
clue.
held a watch.
Never even held a watch, but he did okay. And you have that watch, right?
There it is, right there.
And you're wearing it right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's the radium dial
Yeah,
with the
oh, yeah.
green.
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you want to read something from your book
Yeah,
so
I,
people get an idea of what they're going to expect?
Maybe if it's okay, I'll read a bit that explains why I'm in this getup.
Okay.
My real name.
I think you look dapper.
That's very kind. My real name is the name of a famous show business person.
And I
So
love John Oliver.
Who? And so anyway, let me explain what I did to get around that a little bit. A decade ago, I created a character called JPV Oliver, Gent, or gentleman, an overweening snob who's posh, eccentric, deeply ridiculous, and who drinks too much. He bears no resemblance to me,
No.
apart from his breathtaking affectations, Victorian vocabulary, flatulence, pretentiousness, mild obesity, poor eyesight, overweening snobbery, and excessive consumption of Scotch whiskey. So that's why I'm.
So that's your preface.
Yeah, there you go.
That's your preface as to why you use your name,
Yeah.
which is fine, because you don't want to be confused with the other one.
Well, I don't want to get a cease and desist letter.
Well, you know, that's the problem is, even though you have the same name, you know. so that-
I talked to his lawyer, and she said,
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and she said, he'll have no objection to you writing a book, just don't
With your
use
own
the-
name.
Just don't use the words John and Oliver. I said, well, that might be a problem.
Really? You can't use your own name?
I'm not supposed to, it's on press releases and all that kind of stuff, no.
Get out.
But I mean to say,
Well, I understand.
they
yeah.
were perfectly lovely, they really were, so.
Yeah.
So
And you
please don't
thought
sue me.
enough to check with them. I probably wouldn't have even checked. Of course, I don't know if there's any Aprills that are famous, but anyway, I
Well,
would
you're
know.
famous.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if I wrote a book, maybe there's somebody else that's using the same name that is more famous somewhere in the
Maybe.
world. So,
So this book is mostly funny. There's a couple of portrayals of some relatives, and there's a couple of serious bits as well. But it's a great book in my mind because I wrote it, but also because it's great for holiday gift giving, because you can give it to people you really like, and you can also give it to people you really want to annoy. So it really works on both.
there's nothing annoying in this book. I'm telling you, I really enjoy reading, and I
Oh,
haven't
that's
read
right.
every one of them, but I've read enough of them to know that they're really fun to read.
Well, let me give you an example. There's a couple, as I say, a couple of portraits of family. This one's called The Bartender. Joseph Kanaa of Judson Street, Albany, New York, decided he would not be fighting in the Great War for America or anybody else. So on a hunting trip to the Helderberg Escarpment in the rainy and cold autumn of 1917, a rifle blast removed his great toe from his left foot. He was 17. Uncle Joe never told my brother and me, but we knew. He took us on hikes into the Adirondack forest, and long before the scenic highway, we climbed Prospect Mountain near Lake George. He told us ghost stories and let me fire his over-under shotgun. My brother and I occupied a special section of the big house called Seventh Heaven, just down the hall from the black cooks who worked in Uncle Joe's restaurant. He claimed to have been shot in the chest during a bar brawl, but his silk shirt saved him, silk being bulletproof. Years earlier, he'd owned a Hendrick's beer distributorship in Albany, but got caught cheating the O'Connell political machine. The O'Connells owned the brewery, the police, the rackets, and much else besides. So he accepted his new life 60 miles north at Lake George, with a resort property on 70 acres. After Shirley Temple's in his restaurant, Uncle Joe, my parents, my brother, and I would head to a little tree behind one of the tourist cabins. Sorry. Now, buy the book. I just can't finish it.
Yeah, well, I know that some of it is very emotional for you, that you're reading.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
But mostly it's fun.
Yeah,
Mostly it's
yeah.
fun.
No, I know the ones that are emotional that must touch your heart, and you put them down on paper, and that's really good. And the one about your dad and stuff. So you had a lot of fun writing this?
I did,
you do
yeah.
this over the pandemic?
I
or-
did.
Oh.
My wife, Lisa Perazzo, is responsible. She's my editor-in-chief, and she designed the layout of the book in the 365
Okay.
installment. So hats off to her.
Yeah, that's why you wear that hat?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I love the top hat. So tell me, so you're wearing the morning suit because that's your persona?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So are you at bookstores, or where are you?
Yeah, the book is available in all the usual places, although Bezos doesn't need your money, so maybe an independent bookshop would be nice. Or you could get it direct from me.
Yeah, and I think we did put that up on the screen,
You did, yeah.
your email
Yeah.
address, so that if they want to order it.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. It's a hard-copied book.
There's lots of big words.
There are big words in
Yeah.
there. There's
It's-
some
my book
small
is-
words, too.
My book is $10 more expensive than Katie Couric's,
Oh, okay.
but mine has bigger words.
It has big, well, I like that.
Yeah.
I like big
She
words.
is quaking in her Christian Louboutins right now over this book.
Well, this is a good gift. It's a good read. It's fun to read. And there's times, you know, when you, like, if you go to a doctor's office, you want to have your book there, you can read it, you can read 3 or 4, and you can sit there and laugh, and they think maybe you're in the psychiatrist's office. I'm not
Well,
sure.
the thing is, readers will, and you should know this, warning, you will lose IQ points reading this book.
Yes, you might.
But your viewers have so many that they won't even notice.
They won't
what-
even
won't
miss
know.
a
It'll be
couple of
fine.
those
It'll be fine.
IQs.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I want to encourage you to get the book. It's a good read. It's fun to read, and it might be a great, like the idea of a gift. A book is nice. I like books. I don't like that scrolling stuff. I like the book.
Well, I have a special on today. If you buy 500 copies or more, you get steep discount, but it's today only.
Today only
Today,
500
yeah.
copies?
Yeah.
What a bargain.
Yeah.
So they get it online?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, you could just send
and
me a
you'll
note.
deliver them?
Yeah, I'll wash your car.
What else could you ask
I
for?
mean, come on.
I know. Well, I don't know if I got 500 friends. That's the problem. So, John, it's really a pleasure to have you on the show and to read such a fun book. It's really a fun book, I have to say that. And there are touching things in it, but there's not many books I've read that I can laugh out loud, and this is one of them.
Thanks for having me on. I had a
Good.
great time.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, cheers.
Good to see you. We're going to switch right over and talk about a play called This Random World. And, oh my goodness, weren't you doing that before?
Yes, I was.
Cristine Loffredo is here along with Jen and Iderstyne. So tell me, you had it all ready to go and in the works and the set and everything, and bam.
Bam. Somebody got sick.
Yeah,
then a lot of people got
the
sick.
whole world got sick.
Yeah, I believe we were shut down the Monday before we were supposed to open. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it was
We
right,
had-
yeah.
We had 1 week left to go.
1 week. So that was really a difficult 3 or 4 months after that. Yeah, I just wanted to crawl into a hole. But luckily, we are able to come back out of that hole.
You got the same cast?
I do not have the same cast.
Oh my gosh.
Half of us stuck around.
Half of them stuck around. One of them is switched to a different part, and I think it's the part that she was meant for, Miss Sarah Papini.
Okay.
And then I had another person in one role, and I said, oh, he's going to be great in that role. And then I think it was July that he told me, hey, I'm moving to Nashville, sorry.
And you weren't doing this on Zoom, right?
No. And so I had to cast that role twice, 3 times now. So, yeah. So, but I'll tell you what, this cast, everybody works together so beautifully, and it's better than it was going to be.
Oh, it's
before
better than the
COVID.
first one, right?
Yeah, it is.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
I've actually had people who have seen it for critique purposes, and they're like, I like this version better. So,
Oh, good.
great.
So, Jen, what are you doing with it?
I stuck with the same role. I liked it the first time. I'm
You
doing it again. No, it's a great part. I love playing Rhonda. They're all great parts, really.
So, what is the play about? Because if it's a random world, what's more random than what we've been going through? It's just like we don't know what's coming next.
So I describe it to people as sort of like a 6 degrees of separation type of thing, where you have these scenes between people and how their lives
They
intersect.
come together for an event, right?
Right. Well, you wind up meeting people and not knowing that you know them through other people, and it's like the mysteries and the coincidences. Like, what is Bernadette's line?
I will tell you what that line is.
She-
Everything happens for a reason. Don't believe it, Bernadette. There are only accidents. She says,
Oh, it's only
yeah,
accidents.
there are only accidents. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
all
there
random.
are no accidents. Yeah,
it's all
everything's-
random. It's all
yeah.
coincidence, and we make it fate. We make it destiny by what we invest in it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's true. Of course, I'm one of these people that believes there's mostly coincidences.
Okay,
you know? I don't think that there's a ghost over my shoulder making things happen or anything like
Right,
that, or a
right.
spirit. But,
Yeah.
but so you've got this cast and you're all set now. How are you managing at the theater? Because we all, are talking about we wear our masks and we do all the other things that
Yeah.
we're supposed to be doing.
Well, how are we managing? We are very strict COVID protocol. We're following basically exactly what Broadway is doing. So you come, you have to be masked. Everyone is masked except for my cast.
You have to show.
And they've all been vaccinated, of course.
They
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
yes. And you have to show proof of ID when you walk in the door, and also proof of vaccination.
Vaccination, yeah.
And if you do not have a mask, we will provide one for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are really being very careful, and, you know, we want this to continue. We want everyone to be well. We want our
Absolutely.
community to be well. We want our actors to stay safe. We want our members, our subscribers, have a great time, you know, and just enjoy art again, enjoy theater.
The performing community, I'll say performing, whether it's music or theater or anything, has gotten hit the hardest
Yeah.
with this. I mean, not that restaurants haven't gotten, but people still eat. You know, and they still had to have food delivered and things. And I'm not saying that, I'm not diminishing what they went through, but the arts really got slammed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I didn't do my show. We couldn't get in Proctors. I couldn't do, there's nothing that you could do.
And so the poor people that, you know, do this for a living, you know, really tough times, very tough times. Don't know if
Broadway
they're going to
went,
be opening up
bam,
again.
they shut right down. Think of all the, and when you look at just the actors, now, knowing that the Civic players is all volunteer. But think about in Broadway where they're paying their technicians, they're paying their set designers, they're paying their audio, they're paying, all those people got shut out.
I know.
In a very expensive city.
Yes, in a very expensive city, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, aside from the cast changes, I think what we've all been through, you know, as a nation, as a society over the last 2 years, has made all of us come back to the theater with a different sort of appreciation of what we're there to do and what we're able to do. And I think it's enriched all of our performances.
Yeah.
And you know, something that I, as a director, have noticed from the cast, separately, I've had calls or texts or emails with cast members doubting themselves as actors.
Oh, because they've been
Absolutely.
so far away.
They haven't done it in so long. I haven't done this in so long, I'm not sure that I'm going to be any good anymore. I haven't done this in so long, I don't know if I want to do it again. Oh my gosh.
Oh, really?
Or I had someone text me last night that said, that was so amazing. I am so glad that I'm back on the stage again. And you know, for me, as soon as this is done, man, I'm going off and I'm doing a show. I got to be back on stage. I miss it.
I
Right?
know.
It's
There's
a
something,
passion.
it gets
It's
in your
you.
blood.
You have
It's
to
in
get
your-
that out. And
I need a shot of that opening night adrenaline, I'm telling you, like bad.
It's so much fun, though. It's so much fun when you get done and you say, boy, we did really good job, you know.
Yeah, and this show is
except
so
for that one
beautiful.
thing where you've dropped your line.
well, hopefully, if they drop their line, somebody else is going to help them out with it. But the audience will not
usually,
know.
if you know everybody's lines pretty well, you can pick up, repeat what they were supposed to say and fit that in. So what's going on? I know you're president of Civic Players, which is an awesome job.
Task.
And so you've got a few other things coming up. So what else is coming up?
Let's see. So right after my show closes, coming up in February is Marjorie Prime.
I'm not familiar with that.
Directed by Tony Pallone. They just cast it. Wonderful cast. It's only 4 people, and it's about this older woman who is going through a little bit of dementia, and her husband passed long ago. So it's really a futuristic play, and she has a husband who is a robot and looks just like her husband when he was younger.
Wow.
Says all the nice and sweet things that they used to say together to each other. And her daughter comes in and is not really happy about that, and it's her daughter's husband who supports her to help the mother, and it's a really interesting play.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
No, so somebody has to. So is the robot really an actor?
Yes, it's an actor who looks just like the
guy who-
her husband when he was younger.
So that must be an interesting casting because he's going to have to be a little bit robotic when he behaves.
I'm
right?
sure. Yeah.
Who's directing that?
Tony Pallone.
Okay, that you did say that.
Yep,
Good.
Tony
And then what
Pallone.
else is coming up?
And then we have Sarah Paupini directing The Cake. Her show was supposed to go
Yeah,
up
I
right
know.
after
That's the one
mine.
about the cake that they didn't want to bake, right?
Mhm, that is correct. Bake Shop, and that's a really good play. And then the last show of the season is our murder mystery, which is Murder on the Orient Express.
I know, what a great, Agatha Christie, yeah.
Yes, directed by Chris Anderson.
Okay.
So every director this season has never directed on our stage, so we're really happy about that. We've got new actors coming that have never been on our stage before. So with our brand new, beautiful edition, we are going to have new additions of people coming in, and it's really nice to.
Well, one of
be
the
back
things
in.
I think, and Jen, you were probably involved with this too, is that you had time to kind of go in there and clean up and redo and freshen up,
Yeah.
and that you never were able to do it. We got a production week, don't have time to do that. Now you could, although it wasn't the best plan, but it's what happened, right?
No, but
I mean, a lot got done. A lot of people put a lot of time and energy and passion into making the theater as beautiful as it could be for the great reopening.
right. We called it the Great Intermission.
The great intermission.
That's what we called it. That's what we called
Yup.
COVID, the Great Intermission.
Great intermission.
And,
Yeah, well, it was a
It's
big
beautiful.
intermission for, when you think about it, it's like, if you look at the time, and then we went, boop, there was a big bump.
oh, yeah.
And we're not through it yet?
No. I think a lot of people went through a depression, and I know that I did too.
Some people got really,
I was afraid I'd never see my grandchildren again.
yeah, well,
Never see my kids again.
I'm with you there, because I still haven't seen some, so, at all, and they've been born and they're 2 years old, and, but thank goodness for Facebook and videos and things that they send, so.
Right.
I think I know them, but they don't know me at all, they're going, who is that woman there, Well, anyways, maybe, I don't know. And I haven't been traveling, so, we all kind of are on the skittish side as far as exposing ourselves,
Right,
when it could be worse.
But don't we just appreciate the little things so much more now?
Absolutely. You
Nature
got it.
outside, looking out. I know, it's crazy to just look outside and go, wow, that's a tree, it's so beautiful.
Sitting
I
next to
planted
someone-
roses.
Sitting next to someone you don't live with.
Oh, right, exactly.
Well, one thing that did happen is we did get to Zoom, and I enjoyed attending the meetings on Zoom there.
Okay, good.
And every board meeting I've been to has been on Zoom, and it's like, I mean, I look really good here, but I got my jammies on, and I got my slippers on,
I know.
and sometimes I hold up a glass that looks like I got wine and it's really soda, and I go, oh, cheers,
I like being able to turn my face off when I do
Yeah.
it like that.
Well, I want to wish you the best. No, wait, I can't say that. Break a leg. Break a
Yes,
leg.
we open this
The
Friday.
producers, break a leg. Don't say break. Don't say good luck. Say mirrored.
Merrill,
Right, yeah.
yes.
So I'm sure it'll be good. So when is it on? And so everybody knows.
We open this Friday, 12th, 13th, and 14th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sundays are 2:30 matinee.
following
And then the following Wednesday, Thursday at 7:30, and Friday, Saturday at 8, and then Sunday at 2:30. We close on the 21st.
And then you have a party.
Yes.
Then we strike the set.
Yeah. I
We
know how
call
that
it a
goes.
party, but we really tear the
I
set
know,
down.
yeah.
Parties disguised as, or work disguised as parties is a
Right.
theater stable.
Thank you both for being here.
Thanks
First
so
of all, I
much,
want to
Ann.
thank Jen for being here today and joining us, and then I'll go back to Cristine here as you leave. So you've got a full cast, you're all ready to go, and are they going to be serving coffee or anything?
No.
No, I just wanted to mention that because in the past they have.
Right, bottled water.
Okay.
And my show is, our show is no intermission, so it's 95 minutes long. So come on in, grab your water bottle, and enjoy the show.
Enjoy it, no
Yeah.
intermission, I love that,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I know.
Thanks so much, Christine.
Thanks so much,
And we're going
Jen.
to
I'll
switch
see you
over
there.
to Sal Prizio here, who is going to be talking about the Jazzy Christmas. And it's,
Yes.
what is this with the Peanuts Band? What's going on
Peanut
there?
Gallery Jazz Band.
Yeah, what is that? That's
course.
so cool. What a great group of you pulled together.
Yes, well, it's a long history with a lot of the great jazz performers in the area.
We have such great musical
Musicians,
performers.
especially in the jazz
Oh
world,
my
it's
God.
unbelievable the quality of the
Yeah, I mean, we do
quantity.
Jazz on Jay in the summer,
yes,
but
exactly.
it's just like amazing.
So Jazzy Christmas started when I was at the College of St. Rose. I was looking for a show to educate children on jazz. It's
Oh,
a great
okay.
American art form. And it never, I couldn't find something that related to children in that kind of way.
Really? Though that's interesting.
So I
like
always,
Peter and the Wolf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching the Peanuts,
Oh, yeah.
all the holiday specials, and
Yeah.
that music from Vince Guaraldi just
Oh, it's
resonated
wonderful.
so much with me, even as an adult, and my kids. So I said, I'm going to put a jazz group together, and I talked to Dave Gleason, and he put the jazz group together. I just said, let's do this. He wrote out all the parts, orchestrated the music, and we assembled this show. And it's evolved since my time at St. Rose through my time here at Proctors.
Wow, and you have Mike McCord here too with you. And Mike, how did you contribute to all this?
So I'm part of the evolution of the show. Sal came to me a couple of years ago and he said, I've always sort of envisioned this as like an old-timey radio drama, a radio show. So we wrote a bunch of silly commercials that we sort of stick in the middle of it.
Funny.
And the conceit of this show has become that it's an annual holiday tradition for a fictional radio station that we created. And we've asked our audience to send us letters that talk about how much Christmas means to them and just...
So you
let us-
read those throughout the show?
Yes, yeah. So the musicians play for a while, and then we'll read a letter and do a little silly sketch, and then the musicians play again. And yeah, so I'm excited to be, and it gives me a chance to use that ridiculous old-timey radio type of voice.
Wasn't that funny?
it was,
Yeah, they had the big thing like
Right,
that.
yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, the old WGY thing.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
cool.
Exactly, exactly.
And so, did you write some of this, or did you write all of it, or tell me what you did?
All of the spoken stuff I wrote, and the commercials Sal and I wrote together. But I sort of sat down, and I have a couple of memories from when I was a kid. There's a photo of my brother and I on Christmas morning, both asleep under the Christmas tree, having waited for Santa and missed him evidently. So that's actually where I started. So I sort of wrote this fictionalized version of that. I was too young to remember that actually happening. I just know the picture. So that was the first one that I wrote, and there's a story in there about a man who is trying to surprise his neighbors dressed as Santa and ends up slipping down his roof, and his Santa costume sort of fails him and scares the neighborhood kids. And then our last story is a grandmother talking about her granddaughter and what sort of the innocence of childhood can bring to Christmas.
Oh, okay. So this is fun.
Yeah.
He does it in this like he's underselling himself on this, but he does it in this beautifully poetic way that I feel like if Norman Rockwell wrote pieces,
This would be it.
this would be it. He does this little slice of Americana that's right in this. I mean, we've got like the fireplace going and we got couches set up, so it looks like a living room kind of thing. And it's really meant to be comfortable. It's like comfort food for the holidays kind of thing.
So now, I know you're performing two performances. One is at Proctors. Is it in the GE Theater?
It's
Where
right
are we
here.
at? Right here.
Yeah,
We're
GE
here.
Theater.
And the other is the UPA, Universal Preservation Hall up in Saratoga,
Yeah.
which is an amazing
Beautiful
space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I
Amazing
know.
space.
As post-pandemic, I'm really excited to have the community actually get inside the building and see it for sure. Because
It's
pre-pandemic, we only had it open for 10 days.
You're doing
before.
it up in the Great Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. The
Yeah.
acoustics ought to be amazing.
Oh, it's perfect for it.
Yeah.
And we talk about the evolution of the show. When we first did it, I did it in that strict Vince Guaraldi just trio. And then we started adding horns. And then we added some vocals to it. So as it's gone on, as the show's evolved, the group has evolved. And so it's like become a bigger and bigger band.
Well, I think I did type in the list of the people that are performing,
Yeah.
so that
Yep.
is, so we brought that up. It's up there right now, listing the people that are performing, as you sent them to me. So you've got a great cast of people performing.
It's some of the best musicians in the area, and Girl Blue, who's a fantastic singer-songwriter, she's on this year as our vocalist.
Okay,
Too.
great.
So it's not just Vince Guaraldi's music; we've expanded that a little bit too.
Okay,
Because
and
most
who
of
wrote
stuff
the music, or did you just find it?
We used all like the holiday hits.
Okay.
Some of those holiday hits that feel appropriate within the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't expand too far from what Vince was doing with his music, but it's also it's those things you'll hear on the Christmas radio station going.
Yeah. What a great premise. So you wrote this from the get-go at St. Rose? Is that what you're
so
saying?
Again, I really wanted a holiday show that's great for somebody who's, 3 or 93. It's that thing where you just identify with all
Well, when
the
they hear
music.
that theme, the kids are going to
Yeah.
know exactly what's there, right?
Exactly.
We all know the Charlie Brown theme.
Charlie Brown themes in it, all of his big hits that he had in those things. The Christmas Time is Here,
Yeah.
The skating, all the ones that are in the Christmas special are in the show, but then we expanded upon it. We do some stuff with Brian Setzer Orchestra,
Okay.
Santa Baby, those kind of things. So it's
So
just
how long is this it's like
75
intermission
minutes.
and
Nope, 175, because there's kids.
Yeah.
There to watch the show, so we usually with children.
so you're aiming for kids.
Yeah.
And Sal is underselling a little bit his
You
accomplishment.
both
and-
are underselling.
Yeah,
so
we're
we're
very,
not selling-
this is
we're very
undersell
humble. I
Thursday,
mean,
yeah.
I was a little upset. I'm a little nervous about being compared to Norman Rockwell. That seems like a big swing, but
You mean you don't draw?
well, certainly not. What's really great, I mean, these musicians are, as Sal said, these are some of the best players
I
in the
know
area.
that.
And if you close your eyes, you're listening to a recording. I mean, it's pitch perfect
Yeah.
what Vince Guaraldi did back in the day. I mean, they're tremendously talented. They're really nice people to work with. I mean, as much fun as it is for the audience to watch this slice of Americana, it's a lot of fun for us to to sort of be backstage and just sort of hanging out before the show, because everybody is just, we're really happy to be. I mean, who doesn't love Christmas, right? And that we can bring this little piece of Christmas to the community this way is a lot of fun for us.
Well, and the other important thing is that we have musicians that are performing. I mean, they've been in
Yeah.
lockdown too, and
Sure.
we were just talking about that with the Civic players and with the other players, that we've been in lockdown and they haven't been performing. I mean, they've been Zoom, okay, so they do a concert on Zoom,
Yeah, it's not the same.
which is okay, but there's something about being in a theater with the musicians and feeling the vibes. I mean, I know that the sound waves are not doing anything to me, but they do something to me. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you remember during the pandemic when we were still doing Jazz on Jay, we figured out how to do
We
it
did
socially.
outside.
The number of musicians that came up to me and said, this is the only gig I have all year.
Yeah, yeah.
So it meant something, that continuity for them meant a lot. So between Jazz on Jay
And we did pay them.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that was the important thing.
Between that
Yeah.
and like the opportunities that we've been able to do with shows like Jazzy Christmas for local jazz musicians in the most professional settings that we can possibly do for them, it means a lot to them. And
Oh, my God.
I've been thrilled to have been able to provide them that opportunity whenever possible throughout the years. So.
And you heard when with the Civic players that the actors just couldn't wait to get on the
Yeah.
stage, and so the musicians can't wait to
feel
get
the
on the
same
stage.
way.
as
They
well.
love performing for audiences.
Yeah,
so
I'm really,
nothing beats
I'm
that.
pleased that you've picked this kind of a performance, because bringing the kids in is, and I'm sure that, is Proctors doing their holidays, what is it, I forgot the name.
Melodies of
Yeah, Melodies of Christmas. I
And
wanted,
I don't know. I haven't.
That's a
I
great
haven't
question.
heard.
I know it's happening. I just don't know what form.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might be virtual again this year. I'm not 100% sure on
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
I think it is happening.
Yeah,
again.
Melodies of Christmas. Yeah, I mean, because I used to usher for that as well, so I know that it was an annual,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
yeah.
really a great thing to see. Everything's changing, but you know what? We're kind of swinging a little bit back into
Yeah,
absolutely.
normalcy as long as everybody gets their vaccinations.
Mm-hmm.
And we use it, like right here, we're 6 feet
feet
apart.
apart.
And we've all been vaccinated.
Yes.
So, we're doing the best we can, and we're at Proctors, and I know Proctors is doing the best they can, and they're opening up with Broadway, and they're making sure that it's a safe place to be. So you guys are right on target here.
We're
So
doing our best.
you're
We keep
doing
trying.
your
And we
best,
did
yeah.
everything throughout the pandemic, and now.
And I like you're doing one here and one in Saratoga. That's
Yeah.
really nice. You've broadened it, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to thank Mike for being here very
Absolutely,
much.
my
And
pleasure.
I'm going to switch back over to Sal here. And Sal, so what are the dates of this as well?
So we have December. Oh, now I'm going to forget it for a second. here.
Okay, I have it written down
Do
if you
you? Oh,
forget.
great.
I have the 17th and 18th.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. December 17th is
That's
right
what
here.
you were gonna say,
That's
right?
exactly what I was going to say. December 17th is right here in the GE Theater, and then the very next night is December 18th up at Universal Preservation Hall.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
we've got a great performance to look at, and what I like the most about this is that we have it's good for kids as well.
Yeah, it's good for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So, but thank you so much for being here, and my next guest will be coming in, and that will be Doc Horton, and he's going to be talking about the J Street Band.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Sal. So we're going to be talking next with Derrick Horton. He's the kind of the director of the band, in a way, I guess you might say. And we're going to be talking about the J Street Band and what they're doing and where they're performing. So, Doc, it's good to see you here. Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell me about what's going on, because I know you perform here and there, and I know you do benefits.
Absolutely. You know, the pandemic really did something. It really had an impact.
It affected your band.
It affected my band, but it also affected me personally. Let me tell you how. You see, it really gave me the sense that if I'm going to really do what I'm supposed to do, I've got to get my own music out. You know, we've been doing for a number of years great covers, and we'll
Now,
continue.
you're a cover band as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to do that. However, ever since I was a child, I was a songwriter, and I'm a producer, and I said, well, you know what? Since this pandemic has started, I've seen so many people, people I personally knew, have left here. I don't want to leave here before I get my music out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to do what we call a little bit of woodshedding. And that means we're going into the studio, and we're going to start working on my original music. We're going to produce, I'm going to produce my first album. And it's going to be, the plan is to have it out by May.
Oh,
But we're
good.
going to take my time, about 10 to 12 songs, and take my time and produce those. But in the meantime, we've got to keep the name alive.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually on December 17th. I'm doing a solo set
Where are you doing that?
at Taj Mahal.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's over on Eastern Avenue.
Yes, right beneath the Renaissance.
Yeah, the Renaissance, it's the
Hall.
old St. Mary's Church.
Yes. It's gonna be, you know, as my band is a pop funk band.
Yeah.
But on my solo set, I'll switch it up a little bit. It'll be more pop soul.
Are you going to sing a little something for us right now?
In fact, I will.
Okay.
I'll sing an original song that'll be on the album.
Okay, good.
And this is a song, believe it or not, to tell you about how I have to get this music out of me. This is a song I wrote when I was a senior in the fall of '77.
Okay.
And it's called Reality.
Okay, Reality. Okay, and you wrote it. Written by Doc?
Written by Doc Horton. Unemployed and penniless, no one seems to care. Love is lost and friendlessness everywhere. Put the money on the counter, mister, or get out of my place. I am not the least concerned about your face. Whoa, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Reality doesn't like the role I feel. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. No one seems to care if my heart is stilled. Reality is choking me. Depression and uncertainty seem to be the norm. Stifle creativity, my mind is stormed. Baby brown-eyed love prince, a bankrupt superstar. It really makes no difference who you are. Oh, reality is such a cold and bitter pill. Society doesn't like the role I fill. Oh, reality is such a cold and bitter pill. No one seems to care if my heart is stilled. Reality is choking me. I just want to be free. Coldness getting next to me. I've got to find my destiny. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Society doesn't like the role I feel. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Whoa, no one seems to care if my heart is still. No one seems to care if my heart is still. No one seems to care if my heart is still. No one seems to care. My heart stopped.
That's amazing. You know what's amazing is the age that you were when you wrote that.
Yeah, I was only 21 years old in '77. And next month, God willing, I'll actually be 66.
Yeah. And you're going to be able to perform it on an album.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's a beautiful song, and it really, I mean, you were touching my heart with that song. It was
Well,
really,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it was really,
It's,
wow.
And I'm amazed at how it seems to still has relevance right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think maybe that's why it hit me so, yeah. And I do want to also mention that Doc Horton not only is not only love music and everything like that, but he's also PhD, teaches at SUNY, sociology, and a number of other courses that he's created during with everything going on. And he's also working very diligently in Niskayuna as part of their.
Yes, I'm the chair of the Niskayuna Task Force on Racial Justice and Equity.
Right. So you keep your hands in a lot of pots.
Well, you know, the thing is that we all are given talents.
Yeah.
And, you know, somebody once said that the richest place is really the graveyard because so many people went to the grave without utilizing their talents. I want to use everything.
Yeah.
I want my cup
I
totally
hear you.
empty.
I hear you.
And so my goal is really to try to make this world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can invest my time and talent in trying to help the town of Niskayuna, I gladly do that.
Yeah. Well, I know in growing up, my mom used to always say to me, wherever you are, just make the place, meaning the place or the space, a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I try and do that, but, you know, you don't, maybe you're not always successful, but you have to keep trying to make it just a little bit better.
You have to keep trying.
Yeah, and I think that we're doing it. So are you doing any benefits with the band? I know you do some benefits.
Absolutely. One of the things that this year, as well as last year,
You've done some benefits.
Yes,
yeah.
and we have adopted Team Hero. Team Hero is this phenomenal program in Troy, and HERO stands for Helping Everyone Realize Opportunities.
Okay.
It's a program that was founded and directed by Deacon Jerry Ford, and it's a program for disadvantaged youth in the city. And it's been nationally recognized. He's doing phenomenal work. They give them educational, cultural, and other type of entertainment opportunities.
And this is like in Troy they're doing that?
they're
Are they
based-
doing that locally in
They're based
Albany or Schenectady?
They're based in Troy.
Okay.
And but he's taken these kids and a group of kids several times down to the African American Museum of History and Culture
See,
and all
that's-
over the world.
yeah.
And he's recognized nationally as an emerging and a
Yeah,
and
and
a great leader.
it's important to have that feeling of accomplishment and knowing that there's so much out there. And like even with your song, I mean, maybe we get more songwriters too. How's that? Good.
Well, you know, one of the things that my dream is not just that I often tell I don't want to be a star. I want to make stars.
Yeah.
And so my ultimate dream is to bring other artists into my label. and
Exactly. I know
develop
that
them.
you're doing that. You do
Yes.
have a kind of a side company where you actually help other performers.
Yes,
So,
I do.
Doc, I want to thank you for being here, and you're going to be on the 17th or 18th, did
On
you
the
say?
17th of
17th,
December.
which is, I believe, a Friday. Is that
It's
a
a
Friday?
Friday.
Friday night.
From 6
Oh,
to 8.
Okay, so you'll be doing a one-man show?
A one-man show. I will have my keyboard player accompany me.
Okay.
But it'll be a one-man show, and I'm just excited about that. A totally different lineup from what I do with my band.
Do it. You're going to have a good time, and you'll have a good audience, I'm sure. And they got good food there, too. Yeah, I know.
Excellent food.
Indian food, yeah. So anyway, thanks for being here. But I'm going to switch right over to James Alexander. And James, Slock,
Slock.
Glorious Ones.
Yes, yes.
What's going on with the Glorious? And this is like Renaissance?
Yes, yes. So The Glorious Ones is based on, it is a fictionalized account of a real group of actors, a real troupe that during
There was a real troupe?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
they
so
were-
it's based on a real troupe, but not,
The story
Loosely.
is a mix of fact and fiction
Oh, okay.
based on a novel written about them. But the actual group was I Gelosi, which roughly translates to the zealous ones, the zealous ones. They were a traveling troupe in the late 1500s, early 1600s, all across Europe that developed what we now refer to as commedia dell'arte, which is in many ways the inspiration for modern theater. The character that I play, Falminio Scala, he was a real person.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was a real person. He has one published book that you can find, which is a collection of scenarios.
this was in the 1500s?
This was roughly 1587 until...
Oh, yeah, well, the
until-
later part of the
Yes, yes, until the turn of the century. But this is someone who Shakespeare would point to as an inspiration for his work.
Really?
Back then, written plays were less common, and what these actors would do was they would announce...
Improvise?
They would announce that they were presenting a scenario of some kind. They would have the scenario posted backstage and say, which show are we doing? This one? Okay. And then all of them would go out and they would improvise a scene all together. It's so wildly different from what we do as actors
Yeah,
now.
you don't learn any lines. You don't have to stay up night learning those lines.
Well, it's
Well, I mean, they had to know.
well, it's a trade-off, right? Learning lines, bizarrely, is much more accessible. Improv,
tough,
like
tough.
ask any improv comedian, that's hard.
Yeah.
And these are people that were so good at, the reason it's called commedia dell'arte roughly translates to comedy of the profession.
Okay. Of the arts, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it specifically refers to it as their profession, meaning that much in the way that a blacksmith is trained to hammer away and create beautiful metalwork, these people were professional improvers. These were people that were so good at this that no one could even
Touch them.
touch them.
Yeah.
Exactly. The show is, of course, it has that historical background, right? Falminio Scala was real. He wrote the most comprehensive collection of commedia scenarios. But it's also this very touching story about legacy, about what we leave behind. And it's this great look at, imagine if 500 years from now, someone was doing a Today Show, an interview show, talking about us. That's incredible to think about.
It would be incredible.
That this man,
It would be really
that this man 500 years from now,
Yeah.
people still know his name and still know what he built.
Isn't that something?
And the show addresses a lot of that aspect. It's really, really touching.
So is it, well, first of all, is this what ages would you say? I mean, this doesn't sound like a show that maybe too young a person would want to.
There's nothing.
I mean, it might be the context of the.
Yes, these shows were, even back in the late 1500s, they were, at one point, Falminio and his troupe were actually arrested by the Church of France because their show was too lewd. So there are aspects of that. It doesn't shy away from the humor and sexuality. That's the way
Okay.
that
Oh,
I'll
that's-
put it.
okay.
That being said, I don't think there's anything in our production that is unnecessarily violent or something that's going to scare parents away or anything like that.
Well, you mentioned that Shakespeare kind of looked at them, or Scala, as being an inspiration. But think about this, and I don't need to stretch on this one, but most of Shakespeare's plays were done by men.
Yes.
So was this
And that's
done by men?
That's an interesting thing, that the Italians were considered or the Italian performers, I should say, one of the many aspects of them that was considered unholy or wrong was that they allowed women to perform.
Go Italians!
It didn't even occur to many of the Italian playwrights and makers that a woman shouldn't be played by a woman. They had many specific roles that were built for women. There's actually, our play also contains this real life person. Her name was Isabella Andreini, who was such a famous actress in Italy at the time that they named a stock character Isabella after her. When she died, they had a state funeral for her. Someone who was so good at playing what we now know as the ingenue that she was immortalized for all time.
So the Italians were ahead of the whole
In many ways.
theatrical scene.
In many ways. I mean, this isn't about Shakespeare, but I also would like to think that even Will Shakespeare maybe would have preferred to have more women involved in his work than he was allowed. But this was...
It was different then. I mean, they felt that women should not be doing that because it was, and even when you go to the 1800s even, they were looking in whether it was England or even the United States, they were looking at anyone who was in show business. A woman in show business was really like a fallen woman almost.
It was a terrifying notion, but it was a trade-off for them. This idea that they've made this thing that allowed them to live forever, but they lived in many ways as pariahs from. We're not even talking about Puritan society. We're talking about something before that.
Yeah, before that, before the Puritans. Yeah, that was way before that.
And it was something that they historically, if you look into Commedia or into these actors specifically, as they were traveling, while they were in Italy, they didn't have a whole lot of problems. And then as soon as they started to get into
Cross
other
those
European
borders.
countries, they were dealing with monarchies trying to have rivalries over whose acting troupe got to perform and whose was committing blasphemy. It's so interesting to see how it wormed its
evolution of
into
it.
politics,
Amazing.
into every aspect of life. But that's also why we're talking about it now.
Yeah. Now this is a musical.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's music in it.
Yes,
of
this
course.
is a musical by the composing team, Ahrens and Flaherty.
Okay.
They're most known for the show Ragtime or
Oh my gosh, yeah.
or Seussical.
Yeah.
Is probably what most people would know them for. It's a rather obscure show. Of all of their shows,
I had never heard of it. I had
Yes.
never heard of it, but it intrigued me when I read about it and to
Yes.
see what it is.
and I think a lot of that has to do with it's about a very niche thing.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Something that people don't think about or aren't terribly interested in. But
we're educating them.
yeah, well, but they were clearly so passionate about this man, about what he made and their idea. And we were so lucky that our director, Brian Clementi, he introduced me to the show as well. And he has such a fiery passion for this show and the message that it's trying to say. And he instilled that in he's instilled that in everybody I've seen him even talk
How
to
big
it
is the
about.
cast?
8.
8 in the cast. And when is that being performed?
We'll be performing this weekend, Friday and Saturday at 8, and Sunday at
Matinee,
1.
yeah.
Yes, Sunday matinee. And then the next weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 8, and Sunday at 1 again.
And I'm sure you're using all the COVID precautions.
Oh,
with
yes.
masks.
We only stopped wearing masks while performing.
But you
our
take them, you put them
runs.
back on when you get off.
Yes, on Monday this week.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in our cast is vaccinated. You have to show proof of vaccination in
To
order
even
to
see the play,
attend
yeah.
the show. Yes.
It's what all the theaters are doing, and bravo. I'm glad they're opening up, but using precaution.
It is the price of getting to do and see this thing that we love more than anything, and it's one that I can't believe anyone wouldn't happily pay.
Love theater. Love
Yes.
theater. I'm going to say who's coming on next week in case you're watching. We're having the Harbinger Theater. They're doing a play called The Christians. We're going to be talking with an author, Phil Bailey, who's written a book called Back Dirt. And then we'll be talking about comedy night, and that's going to be at the Hudson Candy Factory. And Doreen Watson has pulled that together. And then we're going to be talking to a pharmacist. Having being a pharmacist myself, I found him to be very intriguing. He's from Tannersville, and he has a wellness pharmacy. It's not your regular pharmacy, totally different. We're going to be learning a lot about what he does and what his inspiration was for kind of switching gears a little bit and making it a wellness pharmacy. So we hope that you'll watch that show, and I want to wish you that you commemorate Veterans Day, which will be coming up tomorrow. So we hope that you're remember, the banks are closed, everything's closed that day, so that you know you won't be getting any mail. And we hope to see you next week. I'm Ann Pearl, your host. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's a doozy.